What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do our second installment of our Versus series, taking two Jedi Masters, as last time we took two prominent Sith Lords. Today, though, we're going to be taking two Jedi from the same era, Mace Windu versus Grandmaster Yoda himself. This is very controversial, so I'm sure that a lot of you guys will have differing opinions in the comments down below. All I ask is that you guys complete the video before you disagree with us inevitably in the comments down below. But let's go ahead and get into it. Yes. Who do we think would win, Mace Windu or Yoda? Anthony, if you would like to take away.
Well, if you look at these two Jedi, they are both two of the most esteemed Jedi, not only of their era, but in all of Star Wars. And they both have many feats under their belts, both proving themselves very worthy of being in the Jedi Council. And I would say that, to me, a very definitive marker showing you which character is more powerful is both in their dealings with Sidious, who is the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. And you could tell, and this will be a little bit of speculation, but in the fight that Mace Windu does have with Sidious, Mace Windu almost feels like he's playing with him a little bit, kind of just waiting for Anakin to make his reveal. So
Sidious is playing with Windu.
Yeah, Sidious is playing with Windu. And never once does it really appear that Sidious fears Windu. Maybe just a little bit towards the end, but not really anything dramatic. But when you look at the way that Yoda handles fighting Sidious, Yoda and Sidious, like Sidious is completely 100% in that duel with Yoda. He's not
100% of the time.
100%.
He's on his game.
He's on his game. He's not messing around with Yoda. He's trying to defeat Yoda. He's definitely enjoying it, as Sidious does whenever he kills or is attempting to kill anybody. He loves it. But you could tell, like, he's way more impressed with Yoda's capabilities, especially within the Force. And he, like, shocks Sidious a few times, I think, in that. So when you look at, in that one moment, very close to each other, how they were able to handle fighting this one person who is the most powerful Sith Lord ever. You can see that handle fares better, I would say, and also survives the engagement. And, I mean, there are plenty of other reasons why I think Yoda might have that little edge over Mace Windu, but I'm sure you probably have some points.
It should also be stated, though, clearly that Mace Windu was able to disarm Sidious.
Yeah.
In the novelization for Revenge of the Sith, this is also a feat that Yoda accomplished, but Yoda is very much forced to flee when it kind of seems apparent that Windu is the victor.
Yeah.
A big reason for that, though, is, of course, Vapad, which I'm sure is the first argument that people will bring up when talking about Mace Windu.
But Mace Windu can't use that in a fight with Yoda.
Exactly.
Because he's not going to be channeling that Force energy, the dark side Force energy.
Right. Vapad was a technique that Mace Windu created specifically to channel his own inner darkness and then the inner darkness of his opponent. This is pretty much his trump card against Darksiders. He could defeat almost any Darksider if he falls into Vapad appropriately and fully, which is why he was able to not only contend with, but also disarm Darth Sidious. There's one major problem with that, though, when Mace Windu was fighting Yoda. Yoda is very much not a dark side wielder at all.
He's incredibly balanced in the Force.
Right. He's completely aligned with the light side of the Force. He has very little to no pull to the dark side at all, meaning that Mace Windu's greatest weapon against the dark side of the Force is null against Yoda.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, though, that Windu's not incredibly dangerous and an incredibly skilled combatant, because he absolutely is. Yeah. In fact, many Jedi Masters consider him to be superior to Yoda. And these are people within the universe. Like I said, Jedi Masters and even people of the galaxy, wider people of the galaxy, believe Mace Windu to be superior to Yoda.
Yeah.
They view Mace Windu as the warrior and Yoda as the teacher. In fact, there's a quote from Palpatine that I would like to read off here. And this is actually Palpatine talking to Mace Windu after a meeting that they have, where Palpatine even infers that Windu is more powerful than Yoda. But Windu himself gives his opinion at the end of this quote, which I'll share it. It says, "Duty calls," Palpatine said, moving to cut the comm channel. Then he paused. "Master Windu, since we are being frank with one another today, Let me add that in the case of these briefings, I wish to hear your own, unvarnished opinions, not what you think Master Yoda would have said. He is a great being, perhaps the greatest in the Republic, but Master Yoda is a teacher at heart. You are a warrior. Regrettably, this sad age of the world may be time for yours more than his. Master Yoda is many things, and I am not his equal in either peace nor war, Mace responded. So according to this, Mace Windu full-heartedly believes that Yoda, again, in peace and war, is superior to himself.
Yeah.
It's coming directly from Mace Windu. And it's also been clearly said all over the Jedi archives and everywhere else that Yoda is the best lightsaber duelist among the Jedi Order and is absolutely tier 1 unrivaled.
Yeah.
It should also be said from behind-the-scenes information for Revenge of the Sith that the choreographers actually had rankings for various characters, and they only gave 9 as far as lightsaber skills to a few of them.
Yeah.
Those were Mace Windu, Yoda, Sidious, and Anakin. Those are the 4 characters that are considered 9s as far as choreography was concerned.
Yeah.
So even according to that behind-the-scenes information, Mace Windu and Yoda are equals. It's clear that Yoda really has no equal in the Force as far as like his knowledge of the Force.
Yeah.
And not to mention his midichlorian count, as is also discussed in The Phantom Menace, is exceptionally high. In fact, Qui-Gon Jinn is amazed that Anakin is a being that has more potential than Yoda.
Yeah.
So it's really clear that Yoda not only has mastered and honed that skill, but it was there from the beginning.
Yeah. I think it's also important to remember exactly how much experience comes with Yoda's age. And that's probably also another reason why maybe some people could look at Mace Windu and assume that he's more powerful than Yoda, because Mace Windu is much younger, people have seen him in more active combat where Yoda has probably taken a back step for most of it as a teacher, and compare those two images of each other, but not really truly understanding the full history of Yoda's entire life, being somebody who is over 900 years old.
Right, and I would like to share another quote. This again is coming from Mace Windu directly, and it says, "Though it was true that he had slowed slightly in the years that Windu had known him, Yoda's skill with the lightsaber was still second to none on the council, including Windu himself, who sits upon the council." So I think it's pretty hard to argue that Yoda is a worse lightsaber duelist when it's coming directly from Mace Windu himself.
Yeah.
And not to mention that Vapad is pretty much null against Yoda. It's clear that Yoda takes this. Yoda is probably, or pretty much confirmed to be more naturally gifted in the Force than Mace Windu. He's more learned in the Force than Mace Windu, and he's a better lightsaber duelist according to Windu himself. I do want to say this, though. I believe that if you took Mace Windu and you took Yoda and you had them each fight against Darksiders, I actually think that Mace Windu would be more successful.
Yeah.
Because of Vapad. So it's not to take anything at all away from Mace Windu. I believe he's exceptionally powerful.
He just has this crutch when he's fighting Yoda specifically.
Right, exactly. When he's fighting a Darksider, that crutch does not exist.
Yeah.
And it's very much clear that, at least in my opinion, the top 3 most potentially powerful and maybe powerful period characters during the Clone Wars era that are Jedi, it's always Anakin, Mace, and Yoda. They're really, really close power-wise, but again, it's hard to argue with Windu himself when he says Yoda's superior.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, Yoda's magnitude with the Force is also huge as well. Mace Windu's is huge, but Yoda is able to move entire armies around. He's able to maneuver entire battle droid armies around. We saw this mainly during the Battle of Coruscant. Yoda literally took like the troop transports and like could throw them back into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We've never really seen Mace Windu do a huge feat like that. There have been countless Force abilities that Yoda has been able to achieve that Mace Windu hasn't. Mace Windu wasn't able to achieve an ability that it said that only really Jedi Grand Masters have, and that's like the ability to produce pure light from their hands.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear as far as most likely stamina and durability goes. I think that goes to Mace Windu, though. But again, it's really difficult to argue with Windu when he says that Yoda's the superior combatant.
Yeah.
I just don't want this to feel like we're destroying Mace Windu and his reputation, because that's not at all what I get behind. In fact, I would say it's really close, but Mace Windu would likely have an easier time defeating a character like Darth Vader than Yoda would have, because that's what Mace Windu's abilities are tailored towards.
Yeah.
He's tailored towards hunting down and destroying the dark side of the Force in any form. Yoda does not fall under that mantra.
Yeah.
He is not an entity of the dark side of the Force. He's not aligned with the dark side of the Force. There's very little dark side in him, if any at all. In fact, in Yoda Dark Rendezvous, Yoda even admits that like he hasn't even contemplated ever turning to the dark side of the Force, because it's simply just not who he is. It's not in his character. Yoda never desired power, and that's what the dark side offers. Therefore, he's been able to slowly build up his power. He's never really been in a rush to achieve it, and so the quick power and the quick access to it has never even been alluring to him in the slightest. Do you have any final closing thoughts?
I think it's just interesting that like Yoda just being so in one with the light side of the Force can just become so powerful, that like unwavering devotion to the light side of the Force, and all those centuries of practicing it and studying it, and now teaching it, and even as an incredibly old man, still being a fierce warrior, being able to train the likes of Luke Skywalker and stuff like that, is like truly an incredibly powerful character. But I'm curious, based on the way that we rate these verses in this series, what would you give Yoda over Mace Windu in 10 battles?
I might cheat a little bit. I would probably give him like 6.5.
Yeah.
I think that this isn't quite as close as our Malgus versus Vader fight was, just because of the fact that, again, Mace Windu has said it. I'm beating a dead horse with that. But also the fact that he's just not a being of the dark side of the Force.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I still think that in those like few battles, Mace Windu can still get the upper hand on Yoda because of his superior stamina and maybe his raw combative skills in the Force. But I give Yoda 6.5 victories out of the 10, if you want to look at it like that. I know that's kind of cheating.
It's not kind of cheating. It is very much cheating. And I will give Yoda an even 7.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, leave your thoughts on this in the comments down below. We both selected Yoda to win, but we want to hear what you guys think. Does Mace Windu have a big trump card that we're not really talking about here? I do want to mention briefly one other massive Force ability that Mace Windu does have that could actually play in his favor slightly. And that's an ability known as Shatterpoint. It's really, really rare. It basically allows Mace Windu to see weaknesses through the Force and perceive them, and then pour the Force into those pressure points and essentially make them break apart. So that's a Force ability that Mace Windu could definitely use against Yoda. That's a Force ability that Yoda does not have, as again, that's one of the few abilities that are more hereditary than anything else. But I just wanted to bring that up. That's definitely a notable ability there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull back my 0.5 because of Shatterpoint, and I'm gonna bring it an even 6 out of 10 fights.
Looks like we're making all sorts of rules here.
Yep, I called an audible. Anyway, guys, what do you give Mace Windu versus Yoda? And what other guys do you want to see face off in our little versus series here, our little debate format? We'd love to hear your opinions on this, and if you're enjoying the series, smash that like button, as it really genuinely helps out a lot. Anyway, my friends, may the Force be with you guys, and have a great day.